Suicidal grief's insane, definite. I call it like a race that I have to do every single day that I can't get out of doing. And you just got to get up in the morning and decide, choose your battle, and you just got to try and find a way of coping yourself.
Welcome to The Narratives of Suicide, the podcast where we bring hope, community and a voice to those who've lost to suicide. It's where we dispel the myths of suicide. We dispel historical discourses and constructs that have been steeped in history for a very long time, and we're here with hope, love and support for everyone out there who needs to listen to this podcast. I'm so sorry you're here, but I do hope it can give you something to use in your healing process, to be able to pick up the pieces of suicide and put them back together again in the best possible way that you can. So today we're here with Ryan from Southport in the UK. Ryan sadly lost his brother 2.5 years ago, and Tom. So we're here very grateful to have Ryan with us because, hallelujah, we have a man joining us to share his story. I've not been outwardly asking for men to join the podcast because I believe in equality rather than one or the other. But also I've not seen any come forward. So I'm just amazed and really pleased you're here to open the conversation.
Yeah, I think that's where it starts. I think that's why there is a higher suicide in men.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The big conversation we can have today around men.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'll try and share some information that supports and helps other people. So
yeah, great. I know you've been through a lot, and you've just been saying as well, your dad's got dementia, so you've got that going on at the moment as well. So really,
yeah, that's been going on since 2011. He got diagnosed with bowel cancer, and then I had about 12 operations. So after that, and then he got Parkinson's, and now he has Parkinson's dementia. And at Christmas, he went into a nursing home for the first time because mum could no longer cope. So yeah, he's in a nursing home in Southport at the minute.
There's a lot going on in the family as well, for your parents, you know, for your mum and God.
Yeah, and we have a family-run business we've had together as well since 2011. So we've always worked together as well.
Okay. Oh, the whole family?
Yeah, we have me, my brother Tom, my mum and my dad own a healthcare recruitment agency. And we also have offices all over the UK. So, yeah.
Gosh, so how is that for you then? Are you feeling like you're holding it all at the moment? What's that?
Yeah, I do hold it. I'm all right with it. Like I've been sort of running it anyway for the last few years with mum. And mum's still a massive part of the business. We sort of split it down the middle. We're in franchising. So we franchise the business model. So that's what my sort of role is, to run that side of it. And mum's sort of the person who looks after all the money, because otherwise I'd just spend it all. So that's that side of it. But yeah, so that's how that's happened with dad. And then my brother was also heavily involved in it as well. We both joined just as dad got bowel cancer because mum was taking dad to Clatterbridge, and that's how it started. Mm-hmm. So me and Tom was a salesperson and I was like a more of an operationals director.
Okay, gosh.
Yeah.
So close family.
Yeah, really cool. Tom was my best mate. And when I lived together, I used to live across the road in an apartment. I had a house with my missus. I'll give you a little bit of background about Tom. 30 years old, quite a big lad, 6 foot, quite a good looking lad. Loads of ambition, always a laugh and a joke. Done really well for himself. Obviously the business is thriving and quite big. But yeah, he got quite a tough addiction to cocaine and drink and gambling. But he was still managing to work, do his job, what they call a functioning addict, basically, if that's right. So I don't know the right terminology, but that's what I'd say he is. That was quite a challenge dealing with that, because that went on, I'd say, about 4 years before Tom took his own life. That was going on for about 4 years. I've had people turn up to the office, at the office, being threatened, kidnapped, nearly kidnapped. Paid money to lots of people. Mum and dad's house smashed up, cars broken into, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Tom deteriorated turned up to work on time. All sorts of stuff happened on that lead up to that, as well as trying to get him into services as well.
Yeah, I bet.
He wouldn't go. So
he wouldn't go.
The build up to Tom passing, it got to a point where, it was absolutely affecting me massively. The same time this happened, I just had a little boy, Jackson, and then we were having our second child. So my little boy's 5, and the other little boy, he was born my brother took his own life in October, my other little boy was born in December.
Oh.
So my missus was heavily pregnant as this was going on with Tom. Yeah, so it was pretty chaotic at that point. And what had happened was I got Tom into a situation where he wasn't in work anymore. I sort of house arrested him at mum's house,
Right.
and took everything off in his car and stuff. But then my dad's birthday, my mum took him as a last holiday to Italy, and Tom manipulated that situation and took the car and disappeared for the day. And with the left is Tom ended up taking his own life that night. I actually found Tom as well, so I had to tell when I found Tom. I had to phone back.
So you were on holiday at the time, or he'd gone on holiday at the time, had he, with mum and dad?
No, he was on house arrest at mum and dad's house, and my mum and dad booked a last minute holiday for my dad's 70th. They went on holiday on the 15th, and Tom took them to the airport, manipulated the situation, and got mum's car because I took his car off him.
Yeah.
I've been spending every day with him, taking him to the gym and stuff, and then he took mum's car and disappeared that day. That night, I eventually got hold of him because I managed to, well, actually, I'll tell a lie. That night it was about 11 o'clock at night. I had a drink, and I said to my missus, I'm going to have to go down to mum and dad's and check that where he is because I've not heard from him all day. He's gone off find my friends on, the location mark on an Apple phone. So I went to mum and dad's house, and there was evidence of drugs everywhere, and he'd been back to the house. So I let mum's cat and dog out because that's what I was worried about. And then as I was leaving the house, my brother turned up, and he was covered in cocaine, and we had a massive argument. I ended up leaving about an hour later, drove home. And then the next day I was in work in a pretty big meeting, and I'll never forget the time, 10:23. I looked at the watch and thought, I haven't heard from him yet. So I left the house and went to mum and dad's house. I won't go into too much detail, but I found him at the bottom of the stairs and sat with him for 25 minutes until paramedics came. And then I had to ring my mum on my dad's birthday in Italy on the 16th and tell her, and then arrange for to be held at the Southport Hospital for her to come back and I had to get her flights arranged and meet her at Manchester Airport the next day.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty tough if you've ever been to Manchester Airport. It's a tough one. And so, that was and then obviously trying to explain that to my dad with dementia setting in was a tough one as well because he really didn't understand it. Yeah. So, that's what happened to my brother. Yeah, that's the story, unfortunately.
What a lot for you to have carried just before as well, the whole responsibility of really trying to help, doing everything, weren't you? You were like, literally there every day looking after him and being the supportive one. And I can't even imagine what that was like just with the lead up to it, let alone then, the final part where you're...
It was a bit chaotic, I'm not going to lie to you. Life was a bit traumatic as well as trying to run a business. We've got 16 people work at head office and quite a few thousand temporary staff. So there's that responsibility in the business as well as everything else. Yeah, it was chaos. And then Tom died and I had to go and work the next day because I'd obviously left the business in quite a big meeting. So people were asking me what's going on and trying to talk to me and stuff. So I got one of the girls out of the office that I'm quite close with to meet me on the car park at work. I told her and then we walked into the office. I got the team together and told them that Tom had took his own life and can they just look after the business for a couple of weeks while me and mum try and cope. So that was that. So I had 2 weeks off work. I was back in after that. But
Wow. Yeah. Jeez. Gosh. And I think I really resonate a lot with that, telling your mum and dad. I tell my dad about my brother. Yeah. That's one of the most significant memories I've got.
Yeah.
Because tell somebody that you love that's happened. It's one of those flashbacks, if you like, of mine, one of the most serious ones.
Yeah, it sits with me as well because I remember ringing Mum and I said to her, where are you? And she said, I'm in the hotel. I said, where are you exactly? She said, I'm in the hotel. And I said, can you go back to your room? So she said that she was back in the room. She's actually telling me a fib, but she just knew there was something wrong. She was just outside shopping. Yeah. And I said, I need you to sit down. And I just said, Tom's killed himself. I just found him. And then we just had a big cry and we had a chat about it. And then the police turned up. The CID interviewed me because I was the last person to see him the night before. Yeah,
God. Thank you so much for sharing all that. I know it's a very painful thing to share, all of those events.
Yeah.
And how have you processed all of that? What's helped? Where have you gone from that point, from that day?
So the first thing obviously I had a little boy who was like 2, and then my missus was just about to have a baby in December. So that was extremely difficult just based on that. So then I remember at one point being completely consumed by what I know as depression and grief, to the point where I couldn't really do anything. Even just getting up and getting out of bed was pretty tough. And I said to myself about 4 or 5 days after that, I was like, I literally can't do this because of my situation in my work. My business is massive. Like, it's not something I can hide away from, and I have a lot of responsibility. So, and obviously my family as well. I was like, right, I need to sort this out. I need to be there for mum as well because of dad. So I actually reached out to a grief counsellor pretty much straight away. My wife is amazing, and she supported me all the way through this. She cut the hair of a lady who was a grief counsellor, and she's a really robust lady called Sally Proctor. Her company's called Listening Tree, if you want to find it, or can give my details. But she's a nurse from Salford, and she's rough as they come in terms of being able to talk to how I talk. I swear my head off usually, and pretty straightforward, black and white type of person. So I didn't need someone who goes, I just said to her point blank, if you do that, he'll not. So I'm really going to have to blow my nose because I've got hay fever. I started seeing her 2 weeks after Tom died. Some people are saying it's a bit too soon and stuff, but I really needed that. So I started seeing her, and that really helped. I've just been able to sort of talk about the guilt, because I actually told Tom to kill himself as well the night before in a heated argument. So what you say to your siblings in them sort of scenarios is pretty insane sometimes, and you say all sort of stuff when you're fighting. But yeah, so then I had to deal with incredibly guilty, because I'd been supporting him myself, building up to his death. I knew everything about it. I tried to take him to rehab services. Obviously, I took him out of his car and stuff, and might have been something around that. He couldn't see his girlfriend and things like that. So I had to work through all that, and then I just started looking at holistic ways to suit myself. I wasn't a massive gym goer, but I used to go to the gym quite a bit. But what I did is got a regular routine in the morning, exercise, something, started exercising. That was a massive sort of relief for me because that really helped. And then I got into breath work quite quickly. And that was a big one. And at the same time, so people are going to think I'm nuts. If you knew the size of my business, it's huge. I rebranded my company at the same time. So as Tom died, I was seeing someone about social media, how the company would look better on social media. So I rebranded my company from 24/7 Professional Health to Teslom. And Teslom stands for Tom and Les. My brother was called Tom, my dad's called Les. So there's some big brand pillars behind there as well, but that's what it really stands for. So that doing that also took me on like a holistic journey of breath work. Yoga was another one I did. There's a lady who did a yoga class around grief, and I'm 6'3" and 19 stone, and I'm about as agile as a block of flats. Yeah, so doing yoga and putting a pair of leggings on, even though I've got great legs, it still doesn't look great. So I started doing yoga, believe it or not, and honestly, pretty much every yoga class I cried. I found it a massive part of my life, and now I have yoga at work every month for everyone. So she comes in and does yoga for us, and then that was one, and then breath work as well. And I've got the guy who did the rebranding to taught me about Wim Hof breathing, and I started doing that every single day. So I trained in the gym, did breath work. I stopped drinking alcohol, didn't drink for 2 years, didn't touch or drink alcohol because that just immediately, I could just drink a bottle of gin. I was drinking at that point, and then I made the decision not to about 2 months in because I was drinking a lot.
Right.
I was getting home and I could drink a lot of litre of gin in the night, no problem.
Wow.
Which was getting a little bit out of hand, so that's when I stopped that, get into training, started doing breath work, started doing yoga, started seeking out all sorts of different stuff, and that's what I do now. I have like a regular routine of exercise, breath work. I also do cold water therapy. I bought a barrel now of ice in the freezer in the back garden, and I get in it pretty much every day. Get into ice cold water, yeah.
Going around a lot, isn't it? And I can only just about do it like 20 seconds in the shower after I've had a shower. That's where I am with it.
Yes, so my advice would be don't do that. Get in after a day's work, run the bath full of cold water, get in with your ankles first, do the first 2 minutes, and then get the rest of your body in. The first 3.5 to 4 minutes are the worst. Then the inflammation will go down, and then you'll do about 10 minutes. It's about 11 degrees tap water, so you need to do a minute a degree. If you do the first 11 minutes, honestly, I think it should be a government initiative. I think everyone should have to do it.
Wow, what difference has it made to you?
It's massive. It's absolutely huge. So, have you ever meditated?
Yeah. I think it really helped. Yeah.
Right. So, imagine if you've got such a cluttered mind, or if you're not that way inclined and you think that's a load of rainbows and unicorns, it's a forced meditation.
Right.
Okay. So, when you get into cold water, it doesn't matter about your job title. It doesn't matter what sex you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how much money you've got. Nothing. It strips you straight back to being a human being and being survival mode. Because it's that cold and you're that vulnerable, all you want to do is get through that pain. So you've got 3.5 to 4 minutes of just concentrating on your breath, which is a forced meditation.
Yeah. So the Wim Hof, I know if anybody doesn't know who that is, it's the guy that you can Google, and he does courses and all sorts, doesn't he, on the certain breathing technique, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Talks about the alkaline nature breathing as well. Specifically, it turns your body to alkaline, which for me is so important with my relationship with my mum with dementia, because there is a link between her dementia and alkaline and acid blood and things.
Wow.
Back when we researched it all. So I'm keen for my mental health and my well-being to try and create an alkaline diet as much as I can. And when I heard about Wim Hof and that the cold water method can make your body, or the breathing more so, I think he says, I'm not an expert, makes your body, your blood alkaline. I was like, wow, there's another way there of just keeping us healthy as long as possible, really.
Yeah. So this is my tip into sort of men's mental health or mind health, if you want to call it. And I think this is a masculine way. I know it might be, I don't know if people think that's sexist or whatever, but I can describe it because I'm a man. That not all men might think about putting some yoga pants on. Not all men might think about doing some breath work. Not all men might think about getting a joss stick out or doing some meditation. But I reckon it's quite sort of male bravado to get into cold water. It's a bit like, ooh, look at me, I can do that. And I think that's the problem with men's mental health. That sort of bravado about your ego, not letting them walls down because you don't want to be seen vulnerable. If you do the cold water therapy, it forces it.
Yeah.
So it taps into your central nervous system. And I think that's why it's kicking off so much. Because you're getting blokes putting videos of themselves in their ice baths in the back garden. Look at me getting an ice, but at the same time, it's forced meditation and tapping into the central nervous system.
Nice.
So that's why I quite like it. I think that's why it's kicking off quite a bit, because it can be seen as sort of a masculine way of supporting yourself.
Yeah. So do you have a timer on to say, I can't get out until that timer goes?
Yeah. I like to go through the pain. I like to get the cold waters. I can't wait till winter. I mean, I can't wait because I've got hay fever. But I cannot wait till it's freezing cold, so I'm getting it then. The next stage is getting abroad somewhere, getting some ice lakes somewhere.
Yeah. A proper.
Yeah. And again, so this is a really weird one. It's almost like a self-harm thing or some sort of way of tapping back into feeling bad that you can, this is where, I don't know, like a build up of resilience, because you can go, I've been here before, I need to go to this dark place again to heal myself. I don't know. I could sound like an absolute lunatic now, but do you know what I mean? Sometimes you need to tap into that again, don't you?
Yeah, totally.
So some psychologists will probably tell me different.
I know Wim Hof as well. He lost his wife to suicide.
Yeah.
That's when he first said he went to the end of the lake or something and just got in because he was hurting so badly. He just had to do something. And I've talked a lot about this on podcasts and stuff before. Mm-hmm. How some of us just have to do something like I did a marathon. It's like I have to push myself to the physical maximum I can go, almost to prove something. And if you look at that psychologically, probably maybe because of guilt, maybe because we couldn't help our loved ones, maybe we couldn't fix that. It's too late. It's gone. That's done. But we can do something ourselves, can't we? We can push ourselves on a physical level. Yeah. So that kind of makes sense for you, especially for a man who may not be able to do things like this, come on podcasts and stuff, which, or talk about it openly, or like you say, put on yoga pants as a way of doing it. Yeah. And I do think you're right, where it's a case of hitting you on a core primal level almost. Yeah. To go to the pain, you can survive anything. Yeah, that's exactly what exactly. And that's why I think it's going to be big. And I think that's why it'll really help the mental health in men, as well as women as well, equally. But it's the topic around mental health because it's a high amount of people kill themselves. I guess you're very passionate. You're a man. You've got men working for you. You've got your own mental health now that you've had to come to some peace with through whatever. You've done such a lot, haven't you? Yeah, you've really gone for it. Counselling, breath work. There's another one. Have you ever heard of a barbarian yawp? No. Never heard of one of them. So that's screaming or yelling at the top of your voice at the top of a mountain. And it's like a master reset, and you just literally give everything out. It's a really unusual situation. And you might think, when I say it to you, you might think he's lunatic, or you might think that must be quite easy. But if you go to the top of a mountain and you try it, everything shuts down because you're like, people could hear me. Someone's going to walk up. Do I look like a lunatic? What is going on?
But if you type in Ryan Armitage, Barbarian York on YouTube, I videoed it. And honestly, it took me about 2 weeks to recover. So that's a really good...
Gosh, wow. So did you say York? How do you spell the York?
Yeah, Barbarian, YAWP.
Okay.
York.
So type in Ryan Armitage, Barbarian Yarp, and
Barbarian York.
York.
York, yeah.
YAWP, and you'll find you standing on top of a mountain doing it.
Yeah. And we did it with mate Tim, and that was a massive reset. We're going to do it again because we both feel like we need to do it. But yeah, so that's a good one.
It took you 2 weeks to recover. In what way? In what way did you have to recover?
Just feeling absolutely drained of emotion because it just shook everything out. It can last quite a while when you start crying because you're literally giving everything out. We've all screamed in a car and all cried in a car, haven't we? So imagine giving everything, literally everything at the top of a mountain. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'd highly recommend it to anyone. Again, a bit more masculine, doing like a joss stick and meditating. It's just work.
Wow, okay. Anything else you've done other than that?
That one of them, I can't remember what you pronounce it, them spiky mats. They're quite good. They're off Amazon. It's like a spiky, soft sponge mat, and you can lie on it with your top off. And because of it's like about 20 minutes you do it for, and it brings blood to the surface of your skin. I can't remember what it's called, or is it a something mat? Can't remember what it's called. But that's quite a good one. I've got one there in my office as well. That's quite a good one.
So you lie down and you just spikes your back, and it kind of brings blood flow to you and makes you feel alive, I guess.
Yeah, exactly that.
Feel alive and like that. It feels like you're just going like that.
Yeah, exactly that. So I've done everything, and I keep practicing stuff all the time and trying new stuff, anything to stop darkness, because I did get diagnosed by the doctor with depression and got given antidepressants, but I just never chose them because at the time I was doing a lot of running. I still do quite a bit of running, and that seems to help, but I do running in the dark so I can cry, and that's a big one for me, is running in the dark so that you can cry. But yeah, so then I just didn't take them. I've still got them, but I've never got around to taking them. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking antidepressants, and if you have to use them, use them. Yeah, it's just that's for... I've done all sorts of stuff. But I think one of the reasons why men's mental health is such a big topic in suicide is because of that ego and bravado that some men need to give, and that's why they feel difficult about talking about it, I think.
So you've done a lot of thinking about mental health since. Were you like that before Tom died, or is this kind of something you've become passionate about since?
No, I was definitely on that journey prior to Tom, because I was also dealing with a lot of stress dealing with my dad, because the way my dad told me about how he had bowel cancer was quite unusual. And then dealing with that and running a business, managing people, being a lad in his 20s, and then dealing with the challenges around my brother as well. So I was always trying to tap into something to try and support myself, because it was insane. Being a dad, full stop, is just tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just being a dad, full stop, is tough. So without if you just didn't have a lot of responsibility in your job, just being a dad and understanding how you treat your children, how to be a good leader of a family, how do you teach them morals, how do you teach them responsibility, how do you teach them manners, how do you teach them all that sort of stuff. It's just not natural, is it? So you just got to try and figure that out, haven't you?
Yeah, it's definitely something we're getting used to talking about as well, isn't it? We are starting to talk about it. We're starting to learn these methods, all these different ways, yoga or ice cold water, and we are having the conversations more. We just need to keep having them, don't we? And keep pushing ourselves. It sounds as if you've pushed yourselves into uncomfortable areas. Yeah. Like you've cried in the car because I get the sense that nobody can see you in there, and the hill. But now you're coming on this, you're talking about Tom and everything, aren't you? Really openly and honestly. It's as if you're pushing yourself, challenging yourself.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Yeah, I've done quite a few bits of talking around it, and I've talked about trauma, PTSD around finding a dead body, and that's quite a tough one. Just that in itself, and then obviously talking about a family member who's got cancer, which seems to be a lot of people at the minute, and I think a lot of people struggle with that. And then there's loads of struggles around it, isn't there? Dealing with someone who's got an addiction in your family. So I think the more you talk about it, I've always ended up supporting someone, and that's why I did that first aid, mental health first aid course, because I wanted to be able to, if someone does reach out to me, be able to deal with it in the right way, so that I can point them in the right direction, give them the support I think they need, or point them in the right direction and the support they need.
Okay, so you've done a mental health course. What's it called?
It's a bit like a qualification. It's mental health first aid. I'm a qualified mental health first aider. You do it through Mental Health First Aid England, but the company I did it through is called Mental Health in Recruitment. I'm a champion for them because I work in recruitment and because I've got quite a lot of employees, and that's why I do it through LinkedIn. So
Yeah, okay. Another girl on a podcast a couple of weeks ago was saying it's a legal requirement to have first aiders in companies.
yeah, I think it should be. I think any leader in any business or any sort of senior management team should do that course. I think every single person in the world should do that course. It's only £300 as well, so it's a really interactive course. I think you should definitely do it. Yeah, it's brilliant.
It helps you understand how to ask questions, how to delve deeper if you need to, how to spot the red flag.
Yeah,
That all it sometimes that's what it can take, can't it? Just someone asking you at the right time, tell me more, for suicide to be less of a thing that, we can't prevent it. Of course, we can't always prevent it, but there are times when I think we can intervene at certain points to help.
yeah.
But for us, it's understanding, isn't it, that we can't always prevent it. I think that's been part of my learning, that I couldn't prevent. It's too late, for me. How do I then go on helping as many people as I can?
Yeah, I think that's a journey that a lot of people try and go on, don't they, after they've been through something. And it's a good thing. Suicidal grief's insane, definite. I call it like a race that I have to do every single day that I can't get out of doing. And you just got to get up in the morning and decide, choose your battle, and you've just got to try and find a way of coping yourself. So then also doing that, this podcast we said before, innit, talking about it yourself helps both of us internally. And then also someone who's really struggling with it, if they hear other people talking about it, then helps them and passes that message on. It's like a secret club, innit? So people who have this in emotional intelligence that they need to hear from other people who've got emotional intelligence and going through this struggle, and help other people so that we spread this message of that there is ways out and you can help and all that sort of stuff, innit? That's what I think.
Yeah, it's a club we don't want to, anybody doesn't want to be a member of, but when we meet somebody else in it, we feel like, guilty to say thank you for being in the club with me because it really helps me, but also sorry you are. It's like a real mixed bag, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an unusual one.
Appreciative of just be able to be in the space where we're both open about it, because so many people do hide it, and it's not until you say, oh, I lost my brother to suicide, that somebody says, oh, I know so-and-so, it happened to me so many years ago, and you go, oh,
yeah.
And it's hidden away.
Yeah.
And I think certain family members of mine have, just not mentioned it for a long time as well. And there's so much secrecy around it. And until we start to just say it's okay to say the word suicide, it's painful. And I think that's what happens when we come to these as well. It's painful to hear the stories. It's painful to listen to the stories. It's painful for you to share your story. But every time I painfully share my story, I do feel like it lifts each time, and the power of the grief loses its power over to impact my life, I'd like to say.
Yeah, definitely. Like we said before, the power of talking and the power of sharing your story helps you internally, doesn't it? It's an unusual one, isn't it?
You feel like you're still doing a race every day, so you're 2.5 hours, it's still early days, isn't it? 2.5 years, you still got,
Yeah, well, yeah, I would think it is still early days. I mean, I've talked to some people who 10, 15 years and still just as raw as the day it happened. So I don't think it'll ever go away. And you talk to anyone who knows anything about grief on a professional level, you sort of, the saying is you sort of learn to go around it, don't you? It don't go away. I think you just used to start to manage a little bit better, where day one I was a complete mess, and 2.5 years down the line I'm probably a complete mess once a week or something like that, or twice a week. I have to be careful, and that's why I have good daily practice and good routines, so that I have coping mechanisms and issues and people and strength partners and people in my life that I can talk to about how I feel, so I can cope.
Wow. Well, you started this journey before Tom died, your mental health one. You were on the journey anyway. You were already aware of it, thinking about it. Just being a dad, like you say, brought its awareness of how can I be a better dad, better person, better man, I want to be, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so you're on that journey anyway. And do you think, it sounds to me that Tom's like speeded it up?
Yeah. Well, Tom just brought that awareness to me, the emotional intelligence, that it's so real, isn't it? And I didn't see it coming, and I had no idea what was going to happen. And then just the grief taking over my life like that, I had to do something about it. So when I talk about mental health, I talk about driving to motorway bridges and all sorts of things that I've been through. All sadness, extreme crying, not being able to process things, extreme tiredness, everything that I've been through, every single emotion and stuff. So I know I've had to categorically deal with myself. And I've had people around me and supporting me and stuff, but it's internally started with me. I've had to go, right, you cannot do this today, Ryan. You cannot act like this. You cannot be angry. You can't be vicious with people. You can't be sarcastic. You can't be passive aggressive. You need to sort it out. This is you projecting on the world. Stop being like this. Find a way. And that's how I did it. I am not anything like it happens daily to me sometimes. So I'm not saying like I'm some sort of god of sorting yourself out, because I'm really not. But I did realise that I did need to sort myself out, and I need to do something about it.
God, yes. So it took you to go, stop it, Ryan. I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
It out.
Yeah.
We do. If we're angry, upset, painful, we project it out onto our nearest and dearest to say, get rid of this because it hurts too much, don't we? I think.
Yeah. Sarcasm and passive aggressiveness, it's horrendous, isn't it?
But it's a human thing, and until we recognise we're doing it, we say stop doing it. I think counselling helped you with that, to recognise those early days. How many counselling sessions did you have?
I still have them, so I have one every week.
Right.
I went to fortnightly. I've not had one for about 3 weeks currently, but I will be going back to it. Only because of just work commitment. If I've got work commitments, I've got work commitments. But, I try and do it every fortnight if I can. Sometimes I feel like I don't need to, and they're the sessions that go really, really well. And then sometimes I really need to. And by the time I get to the session, I don't need to anymore. So it's a mixed bag with counselling. It's not for everyone. I do believe it's down to the individual being open, and it's down to the counsellor you have, the person you are. My mum doesn't have counselling. She did do some of it. My missus did have counselling. She didn't enjoy the counsellor she was with. So everyone's different. Everyone has to find their own thing. I really don't believe that you can push ideas onto people and they'll enjoy them, because I have people push stuff onto me and I think that's not for me. I ain't going to do it. So me talking to blokes and saying, go and do yoga, they're going to be like, nah, mate, what are you about? Do you know what I mean? But if you think it could possibly, and you're at a wit's end, then go.
Yeah, just try it.
Just try it. And to be honest with you, you get to yoga class, everyone's crap at yoga. Everyone falling over, everyone doesn't know what they're doing, everyone feels weird, everyone's dead conscious about their ass being in the air. Like, you're not the only one. You know what I mean? Get in there, get it done. So. Especially
for PTSD, I think it's well known. Body Keeps the Score book talks about this, how we can process our bodily trauma through things like yoga, running, ice bath, whatever it is, as a way of, because just doing it through therapy alone, just talking, only deals with the brain aspect sometimes. Some therapists do bring in the body, but those doing things like it sounds like you've had to do, bring in the body's trauma in order to heal it. Otherwise it just keeps tapping on your shoulder saying I'm here, and that's when it comes out in anger or sarcasm.
When you're 19 stone, built like a brick shit house, you can't be going around being angry at everyone because people get scared.
Wow.
So you know what I mean? You can't go around swearing at people and being angry, and then so for instance you in work and something happens in work, you've got nothing to do with it, but because I'm projecting that day and I'm angry and no one understands how bad I'm feeling, I project all over that person. It's not fair. So I have to deal with it, don't I?
And it damages relationships, doesn't it? Your relationship.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah. Damages work, everything. Destroys all sorts of stuff, doesn't it? And then you've got a 2-year-old and a newborn at home with no sleep. You feel like throwing your missus out the window most of the time, don't you? So when you're projecting like mad and no sleep on top of it, you have to do something, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, God, bless you. Yeah. Geez.
You're having silent arguments at 2:00 in the morning about nothing.
Yeah. God, that brain in the middle of the night when it wakes up is so powerful, isn't it? When it's in the middle of the night and it just totally talks you into things. And you wake up and you think, what the hell? What's going on?
Why don't I even say that? Why, yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it's been so interesting speaking to you. Really interesting to get your perspective on it all and how you've dealt with it in your way. So interesting. Really interesting. Really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anything you want to say to anybody listening before we finish? Anything we haven't covered?
No, just a bit about the men's mental health, and I think don't let your ego get in front of what you need to try and rescue yourself. It's okay to put yourself in unusual situations that you might think aren't that masculine or whatever to try and fix yourself, so to speak, if that's the right word. Try it. It's only an hour of your life that might be pain and unusual, but it might really help you, and that's all I think that.
Try and keep your ego out the way and just try it.
Yeah, just try. And that's easy for me to say, but just try.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been easy for you to do either. It's taken challenges, hasn't it? And you've just gone to see what happens.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us here today. I hope it served you and given you something for your journey with suicide. Come back and subscribe, like, do whatever you need to do on your platform to help us to raise awareness of suicide, because the more we keep saying the word, the more we can gain support for us left behind and the more we can raise awareness of the word and how society sees it and reduce this stigma that's so attached to it. Please get in touch. You can find me on my website, suicidegriefsupport.com. I really want to hear from you. But for now, please take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And remember, we are stronger together.